Good morning, everybody. Welcome to StoryCraft. I'm Miss Emily. By now, you guys know how this goes. I have a book to read to you, and then I have a craft to show you how to do. So why don't we go ahead and get to it? Today's book is called Dylan's Dragon, and this is another brand new book here at the library. So, Dylan's Dragon, written by Annie Silvestro and illustrated by Ben Whitehouse. Dylan spent his days playing, doodling, drawing, daydreaming. But as Dylan grew, there was so much more to do and do and do. Every second was planned, every moment measured, every day completely, utterly full. So when Dragon first showed up, it was, of course, at a very inconvenient time. "Hi," said Dylan. Dragon smiled expectantly. "Sorry," said Dylan. "I have school. Can you play later?" Dragon huffed, which felt hot like a suntan but sounded like yes. All day long, Dylan wondered about Dragon. He seemed oddly familiar. After school, Dylan raced off the bus. Dragon was waiting for him. Dylan flung his backpack and climbed onto Dragon's back. They soared in circles through the air until Dylan's mom called, "Let's go, time for piano." Dragon dipped down and dropped Dylan at the door. "Thanks," said Dylan. The next morning, Dragon gave him a ride to breakfast. Too soon, Dylan heard the bus pull up. "See you after school?" Dragon stuck out his tongue and slurped oatmeal off Dylan's cheek, which felt kind of slimy, but seemed like a yes. After school, Dylan and Dragon took flight until homework time, called his dad. 10 more minutes, begged Dylan. After what felt like 10 seconds, Dylan's mom called from the kitchen window. "Dylan, you have to study for your math test before you go to science club." Dylan drooped. "Maybe you can help me?" Dylan and Dragon raced inside, but Dragon nearly set his math review on fire. Dragon quickly stamped out the smoke with his foot. "Phew," said Dylan. On Wednesday came baseball practice. Dragon suited up, but Dylan's coach had a strict no dragon policy. On Thursday, Dylan had a dentist appointment. "Come with me," he said. "You'll get a prize at the end." Dragon flashed his perfect teeth and shook his head. On Friday came karate class. Dragon showed Dylan his moves. Dylan thought he'd better stay behind. "Can you play tomorrow?" asked Dylan. "It's the weekend." Dragon snorted. Then he swatted Dylan with his tail, which felt cold and scaly, but had to mean yes. On Saturday, Dylan threw off his covers. "Let's play," he told Dragon. As he and Dragon headed for the door, his mom reminded him he had a baseball game and a piano recital and his Aunt Edith's 90th birthday party. But, stammered Dylan. He looked at his father. He looked at his mother. "When do I get to play?" "Sorry, bud, not today," said his dad. "Go get ready." On Sunday morning, Dylan slept in. His mom peeked in to check on him. "What do we have to do now?" he asked, yawning. "Absolutely nothing," said his mom. "Just go out and play." "Play? Hooray! Did you hear that, Dragon?" But Dragon wasn't there. Dylan couldn't find him anywhere. It seemed like Dragon was gone. Dylan checked under his bed, in his closet, in the playroom. "Dragon," he called. "I can play now. Really?" He checked in the garage, in the backyard, on the front steps. "Come back." Dylan wiped away tears. "What's wrong?" asked his mom. "I can't find Dragon anywhere." "Dragon? He's my best friend," sniffed Dylan, "and I never have time to play with him. We always have so much to do." "Sounds like we need to cut back." Dylan nodded. "How about I help you find Dragon? What does he look like?" "I'll show you." Dylan raced to get his crayons. And just like that, he remembered. Back when he had time to doodle and daydream, Dylan had drawn that dragon. And he could do it again. Colors blazed from his crayons as he drew every dazzling detail. When he finished, Dylan carried the picture downstairs. As he walked, the drawing grew warm, then hot, then hotter. The paper shook. It smoked. Then poof, popped Dragon right into the living room. "You're back," cried Dylan. But really, he had never left. "Want to play?" The dragon unfurled his wings and wrapped them around Dylan, which felt like a warm hug. Oops. And was most definitely a yes. The end. Dylan finally got time to play with his friend Dragon. How much fun. Do you guys think you would have fun with a dragon? I don't know. Dragon looked really big. I don't know if he would fit in my house. And if he really started moving around, what if he started to knock stuff over? I don't know. We'd have to think about having a dragon in the house. But let's move on to today's craft. That is something you can do in your house. And it is a way to have a dragon in your house. So today's craft is going to be this fun dragon that you can even hang somewhere in your house. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Okay, so for this craft, you're going to want a toilet paper tube, or this is actually half of a paper towel tube. So you can, if you wanted to, you could use the whole paper towel tube and make a really long dragon. I'm just going to make a regular size dragon today. So there's my tube. I'm going to need some glue, and I do recommend using the liquid glue for this. It'll help everything stick a little bit better. Some scissors, a marker, a pencil. If you have something, I just have like a piece of yarn here, but if you have some kind of string or ribbon or something that you want to use to be able to make the piece that the dragon's going to hang from, whatever you want to use for that, you can use for that. I happen to have a whole bunch of eyeball stickers, so I'm going to be using them for the eyes of the dragon. If you don't have eyeball stickers or googly eyes at home, you guys can draw your own eyes. That's always really fun. But for today, I'm just going to cheat a little bit and use my eyeball stickers. And the other big thing that you need to have is a couple pieces of construction paper. So the dragon that I already have made is green, but I think now I'm going to make a red dragon. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take one piece of your paper and your tube, and you want to line it up with the edge of the paper over here, and then mark off on the other side how wide the toilet paper tube is. And then you want to reach underneath and grab the paper and just kind of hold it and wrap everything up until you get to a point where your two pieces overlap. Let's see if I can show that if I do it this way. So here's this here, and then this comes over top and overlaps. So you can kind of see a little bit. Here's the bottom, here's the top. So I'm just going to make a little mark right about where they overlap. And now I'm going to cut out a rectangle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you guys can use a ruler if you want to make straight lines. I'm going to do my best at making some straight lines, but I'm going to use those two marks that I just made as my guide for how big I need to cut out this piece. Okay. So next I am going to take my glue, and let's see, it goes this way. So I'm going to take my glue, and right along one edge, I am going to put a line of glue. want to get too carried away, but you want it to stick. My glue is coming out kind of tiny, so. And now all you're going to do is take your tube and stick it on top of that spot. You might want to press it down a little bit. Give it a good stick. All right, now I'm going to set that aside for just a second to let it dry. And I'm going to go ahead and get another piece of paper. And I'm going to fold part of it in half. If you want, you can fold the whole thing in half and give your dragon really big wings. I don't think I want my dragon to have wings quite that big. So I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to maybe do about a third so that I have it folded here. And then there's some extra, so I'm going to cut off this extra. And then I'm going to unfold it. And what I'm going to do is then very carefully, because it's still drying, take my tube and I'm going to kind of mark off where it is on this paper. And then I'm going to draw my dragon wings. So you see my dragon wings here are all one piece. I just have them glued in the middle. So I'm just going to sketch out some dragon wings. And you guys can make your dragon wings look however you would like. But what I like to do so that they look the same on both sides is to then fold my paper in half. And actually this time I just folded it the other way so I can see my lines that I drew. And now I'm not going to make sure that I don't cut along the fold here. But if I cut this way, cut that out, cut it here, do another one here. And I like this kind of project because this is one that you can customize and make it look however you would like it to make. And you guys know I am a big fan of being creative and making things the way you like it to look. All right, so there's my wings. I'm going to set them aside for a second because this should be dry enough now. What I'm going to do now is very carefully do another line of glue along this other edge. There we go. And now I'm going to very carefully roll my tube up so that it overlaps. And you might want to have something down on your table because sometimes your glue may leak a little bit. But there we go. So now I'm going to let that sit for just a second. And while that sits, clean up my glue here. I'm going to take my wings and I'm going to put some glue. Oops. Move them over here so you can see. I'm going to put some glue right down the middle. And now I'm going to take the seam, and you guys can see sometimes it may not meet up all the time and it may not look so great, but that is okay because we're going to hide this part right now. So you're going to take this seam and you're going to line it up with the fold in your wings and with that glue line, and you're going to put it right on those wings. All right, so we're going to set that aside and let that dry a little bit. I'm going to come back to my piece of paper and I'm going to take this long piece and I'm going to do a dragon tail. So I want this tail, let's see, I kind of want it to be interesting. This guy just had a triangle tail, but I think I might do something different for this one. Oh, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. All right. I'm just going to do a triangle. That's fine. And then I'm going to have it come up. And you guys can decide how long you want your dragon tail to be. I like it to be a little bit thicker at the top than the bottom. I do have a better eraser over here. There we go. So you guys can see, I'm going to make it a little bit decorative. Make it look a little bit different than the other one. Okay, so once you're pretty happy with that, you can go ahead and cut it out. You don't have to be, guys can see, like, since I was sort of like sketching, I have a whole bunch of lines there. Let's see, there we go. But that's okay, because we can make that the back of the tail if you don't want to go back and erase everything. I'm not going to, just because I don't have enough time today. But I'm just going to come along. And then you can just come right across here. I'm going to come right back down here. And you guys know what I'm going to tell you. As always, be careful with your scissors. Only cut the paper. You don't want to cut yourself or anything around you. Always get your grown-ups' permission to use your scissors. And you can see when I turn it over, here's my dragon tail. So now I'm going to decide which side of my dragon is my top and my bottom. I think I'm going to make this the top and this the bottom. So I'm going to flip my tail back over, put a little bit of glue, and then go back over again, and I'm going to glue this right inside the tube. Stick it down. So I think he's starting to look a lot like a dragon. All right, so now the next big step is his head. So again, because I like my two sides to look the same, I have a trick to do it that way. You guys don't have to do this if you don't want. You can make your dragon however you want. I'm going to take another piece of paper and fold it in half. And then right along that edge, I'm basically going to draw half a dragon head. So let's see, I'm going to do like his long nose. And then I'm going to have it come out a little bit. Oops. And then I want this guy to have some horns. There we go. What do you think? I think that'll work. Can you guys see that? It's hard. There's a glare from the lights. There we go. You can kind of see that way. All right, back to my scissors. And again, you don't want to cut this fold. You want to make sure the fold stays there. But you can cut off of the fold. So I'm just going to follow my lines. And then when I open it up, I have a dragon head. So next I'm going to decorate my dragon head. You guys can do it again however you would like. I like this guy. I think he looks kind of cool. I'm going to do something similar, I think. You know what? This dragon head, I think, is too small for my stickers. Yep, definitely. So this is where my marker comes in handy. Let's see. I want to give him a nose. There's his nose. And let's see. I want to give him some dots. That way it kind of looks like scales. And let's see. I'm going to have him look over to the side. There's something interesting on the side that he's looking at. So there's my dragon face. I'm going to come back to my dragon. Put some glue on the back of my dragon head. Only need a little bit. I put about that much. Hold it, turn it back over. Decide where you want it on your dragon body and stick him on. Now the last thing, if you want him to be able to hang and fly, this is where your piece of string or ribbon or yarn or whatever you're going to use comes in handy. I'm just going to tie a quick knot in the end. If you need help with this, ask your grown-up. Sometimes, see, Miss Emily's having trouble with it right now. Sometimes tying a knot in midair like this is a little tricky. Sometimes it's easier to tie a knot on your shoes or something, but all right, so there's my knot. And you could glue it in, just because it would take too long for it to dry. I have a piece of tape here. You guys could use some tape if you want. That might work well. I'm going to take the tape, put it right over the knot. So now on my piece of tape, my string is hanging. It's stuck to the tape. No, it's hard for you to see the tape, but there it is. So now I'm going to take the tape, sticky side down. And again, I'm going to go inside the tube a little ways, and then I'm going to stick it down. So if you guys do this with glue, same thing with the glue. Put some glue in a little ways down, and then stick your string inside of it. I think tape is a little bit easier to this, but glue may last longer in the end. And then there we go. Your dragon is all set. And if you wanted, you could get super creative with your dragon. You could decorate his wings. You could give his body some scales, maybe a belly. You could decorate his tail, give him some scales and things like that, whatever you think you want your dragon to have. But that's it. That's how you make a dragon friend. Alrighty, so I hope you guys make some really, really fun, adorable, scary dragons. But most importantly, I hope you have fun, and I will see you guys all again next week. Bye-bye.